Hey everybody, it's Janet and welcome. I hope you're having a great and crafty day. Well, I'm going to be showing everyone how to use the new Foil Quill Freestyle pens. I have all four pens, which is the Fine, the Medium, Bold, and Calligraphy pen. And I've set up some things here to show you what you can do with it. And I have to tell you that when I first got these, they sat on my counter for a long time because I almost was sorry that I had bought them, because I thought, boy, what a waste. I mean, how can you get better than the foil quill you put in the machines? And I was kind of like, I don't know, maybe I should return them. But in the end, I decided to give them a try, and boy, am I glad that I did, because it is pretty incredible, all the things that you can do with them and the versatility. And so let me show you that as we try a bunch of different things. I've played around a little bit, but to be honest, not that much. So this is really going to be a test, although I think it's going to work pretty well, and I'm prepared to be impressed. So we'll see what happens here. What I have is the Foil Quill Magnetic Mat. I do have a video on this mat and how it works. It's a great tool to add to your crafting goodness if you're using the Foil Quill products, and it works very well in this scenario also, where you're using the freestyle pens. What I've done is I've just used some washi to attach a black piece of paper here, some cardstock, and we're going to give it a try. We're going to see how it all works. So we're going to put a little piece of the the foil here, and I'm going to use these short pieces of magnetic, I don't know, magnetic medium, magnets, whatever. Anyway, this is the thin one that we're going to use. So I got to find that one. I've got them all over the place, frankly. Yeah, here we go. That's the pink one. I really wish they would put like a great big F or M or B or something on here, and to tell you the truth, I might do that myself, just write on it. But anyway, let's see how this works. So I'm going to write, I think I'll try writing my name in all of these situations. So I'm just going to hold it upright, and I'm going to write fairly slow. Now I think it's important that you pull your foil as taut as you can, and you can either use the Foil Quill magnetic mat, or you can use the washi tape which comes with it, and then you can buy them separately. But the more tight you hold it, I think the better off it will be. So there's that first one. There's thin. That's the finest tip. It's pretty good, and it's not that fine. I kind of expected it to be more fine than it is. So I'm interested now to see what the medium and bold is going to look like. So I've got a little bigger piece here. These are all just leftover pieces of foil, basically. So I've got all kinds of different sizes here. And this is how you do or handle this magnetic piece, is you can start at one end and pull it all the way, and so then you have a tight result. So let's move on. I'm going to get rid of that fine and go to medium, and I'm going to try writing my name again, and I'm holding this pretty much just straight up and down. I'm not going terribly slow, but not super slow either, or fast, sorry. All right, so let's see what that one looks like. Not bad, not bad at all. Now the one thing I like about this is that you've got a lot of extra space here you can use for other little things, and you'll see what I mean, I think, as we go on, if I don't forget. Alright, so then we're going to go on to the bold. Kind of the same thing. I'm going to start on one side of this and pull it tight. And then I'm going to take the other one and do the same. Okay, so now this one again is the bold tip, and if you could see this, it's pretty thick at the bottom, and I would imagine this is going to look a lot bolder yet. So I'm going to give this a try. Oh, and it skips a little right here. And it's skipping a little here, so probably the wider it is, the slower you'd need to go. And just for fun, let me just try going a little bit slower and, oops, I want to use a new piece. Let's use this old one. Yeah, because you know, the wider the nib, of course, the more it has to be held perfectly so that the whole entire surface is melting at the same time. So it probably takes a little bit more time and even pressure. I'm trying a little bit harder this time to concentrate. And I went down and did that bottom of the J pretty fast, not thinking clearly there. But let's just do Jan and see if that looked any better. Yeah, a little bit better. But that gives you a good idea. I think maybe the bold might be best for filling in. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing it might be better for filling in than for writing. Okay, the next one I'm going to do is calligraphy, and I'm really curious about that one. And I'm not going to say that I'm a good calligrapher. I used to do calligraphy quite a bit, but that was 20 years ago. And I think calligraphy is kind of like playing a piano. You're going to get really rusty if you don't do it often. It's not like riding a bike, I don't think. Alright, so let me try this and see how it goes. I'm going to hold it at a bit of an angle. And it is kind of weird, I think, in general, using these pens and having the foil kind of wiggle around on you. You think, oh my gosh, it's just going to be a mess. But miraculously, it works. There you go. Well, I don't think I did that right. Calligraphy is probably not something that I'm going to benefit from too well. Try it again, more of an angle. There we go. Much better as far as getting some different thicknesses. I'm going to hold it even more. So I think the trick is hold it like not straight up and down, but maybe a little bit kitty corner or angled. So that as you move your pen, different widths are being presented to the surface. So there you go. Yeah, that's a lot better. Alright, well, there you go for that. I think, you know, I bought the whole set, but that was the one I was most curious of, but also the one I was least interested in because I knew it would be kind of hard. And my writing is okay, but I don't know how to do the flourishes and all of that. So for me, that might be a little bit much. Okay, so now there's some other things. You know, of course, there's just basic, like we just showed you, where you write on it. But there's other things you can do with it, and one of the things you can do is trace. Now you can use just a piece of light copy paper, which is what this is, not even tracing paper. You don't have to have tracing paper. And what you can do is use it as your guide. Now this actually came to me as part of the auto ship from HSN. It is a monogram kit, and so these pretty letters came for you to use. Now I could kind of see that the calligraphy on this style might work pretty nicely, but I'm not going to use that. I think I'm going to just use the mid, or the I don't know, it's the middle one. It's not the fine, but the next one up. So I'm just going to take my time and follow that. And of course I have to remember where I've been, where that will be a problem. But for something really simple like this, that shouldn't be a big deal. And hopefully I'm going slow enough, but I think I am. So it's pretty hot, and it just needs to transfer through the paper to the foil. So let's see. Okay, well, it's pretty good. This one line isn't as good as I'd like, so I'm going to fold it over again and see if I can make that a little better. Now, I might make it worse. It's always possible. There we go. That's pretty good. So this would be obviously really great for monograms if you're working on a monogram piece. Alright, now you can also do some things like embellish. This is a piece that it's just like an embellishment piece I had from a paper stack, and what I'd like to do is write to and from on it, but that might be kind of hard to do if you just put your foil on it. So here is an idea. This is another version of trace, but this is a glassine bag that I had in my stash that I opened up, and I will tell you that the fold line where the bag was folded, I found that if I used the calligraphy nib, which is a wider nib, I could iron that out, so I got a pretty good flat piece. So there's a little tip if you like that. Now you can use tracing paper. You could use even probably just any kind of tissue paper, as long as it doesn't tear. You know, when you try to use your tool on it, I would test that. The glassine I like really well because your pen slides really nicely on it, and I just thought it would be nice to try that. So I've got a piece of glassine here, and I have a pencil. So what I'm going to do is write to in light pencil mark here, and from. Alright, and then I'm going to take a little piece of washi tape. I'm going to create a hinge so that I can go over this if I need to and it won't move around on me. So once I've got that in place, I'm going to take my pencil, and this time I'm going to write pretty boldly the to and the from, now that I know where I want it to be on my piece. And I guess really I could have just done that over the top. I didn't really need to write it on here. So that's probably a good tip, is if you're going to do, you know, the glassine sort of thing, no need to do that. Especially for something like this, it's not a difficult placement at all. Peel that back a little bit. So put that on. And then this whole hinge should fold over. Oh, but I didn't get the foil. It's going to, yeah, it's going to cut off a little bit. So I'm going to make sure I have it straight before I set it down. There we go. It's better anyway. Okay, and now this time I think I'm going to use the fine tip, if I can find it. Kind of funny, I have all 4 of the tips going at once, all plugged into USBs. So it's kind of hard to keep them all straight. Alright, so I'm going to follow the top of what I wrote here. And again, I'm going kind of fast, but I think that because it's the thin tip, that will be okay. And it is. Look at that, to and from. I think that's a great little thing you can do to embellish your plainer items, even simple little tags. And now I want to put some marks, like just some embellishments here. I don't like that. I'm going to go like that, I think. And I can still use this piece. There's still plenty on it. Put that on. Put that on. Let's put it this way. Shoot. Well, let's just do this in first. I want to get as much out of this as I can, so I'm going to putz with it, if you will, to conserve my foil. I'm going to do that. And right. I'll probably do it this way. And there you go. Let me try to get that up closer to you. I don't know if you can make it out or not, but there you go. So that's, again, I think just a fun, quick way to make something a little bit more special. Okay, the next thing is just embellishing some ribbon. And I had done a little bit of this before I started my video. Get that fine tip put away and bring out the medium. Actually, this is the bold tip. I like the bold tip for the little dots. And so I just had taken my paper here and kind of used a Sharpie and marked off the areas where I could put my dots in for this. I thought this was cute, a cute way to embellish that, to embellish the cherries here. And you just take it and press down and voila. I thought this result is really fun and easy too. Quick. Now, let's talk about stamping. Okay, I'm going to use the stamp now to make a trace image using a stamp. So what I've got here is some StazOn ink, and I've got a cute little doggy. And you'll want to use something like StazOn because it's made for slick surfaces like this. So it's an ideal choice. When you make your stamp, try to get nice pressure, but don't move it or wiggle it as much as possible. Okay. Alright, so now I've got an image I can stamp with, and I will tell you, it is a little hard to see that image. So I'm going to do the best I can. Black would be ideal, but I just don't have black stays on right now. I only have brown, so it's a bit of a challenge, but we'll make it work. Alright, so I skipped ahead a little bit just for the interest of time and did most of this. I'm just putting in now the last bits, which are the fringe. And I have taken a little peek, and it's not as good as I would like. But, as I told you, this is the first try. And there we go. So you can see it's not too bad, not too shabby. If my skill was a little better, it would be great. Also, what really hurt me in this scenario, which I didn't realize until I actually tried to do it, was I didn't have the black stays on. The brown is a lot harder to see, obviously, on the foil. But black would stand out really bold and would make it so much easier. I had to really work at trying to see where the lines were. But you can tell the idea is good, and because the foil has like a protective clear coat on it, nothing that is stamped or inked or written on will actually transfer to your piece. So that's why that works so nicely. Okay, so that is that. Now wood. Let's talk about wood a little bit. I had done a little bit of pre-work here on this piece. This is just, of course, a plain, cheap wooden ornament you can get at any craft store. So what I did is I used the glassine over the top. First I had written his name the way I wanted it on the piece. Now, I mentioned you could just write on the top of the glassine too. You wouldn't have to write on your piece. I didn't realize that though till I'd done it a couple times. So again, told you I was learning as I go here. So you can learn with me and avoid some of the mistakes I made. Alright, so I'm going to put now some foil down, and again I'm using this what would be called a hinge method, where you put some tape down and you can fold back your pieces and still maintain the location. Nothing is going to move around on you. So I want to see where my foil needs to be before I secure it with any washi. It's a little bit high. I can move it down a bit. There we go. That's pretty good. So then I'm going to take a little bit of washi here and create another hinge with the washi. Yep, but that is too high. That is too high. And again, you can see because I am only touching the top and not the back of the foil, nothing came off when I used the washi on that. It didn't take off any of the gold foil at all, because that's all protected by that clear coated piece or coating that's on top of the foil. Okay, I think we're in good shape now. Now I can feel in this piece that the wood has got a little bit of a bulge right here, and it is going to interfere with my end just a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. Now I wanted to show you before I started though that I had colored this with some Spectrum Noir alcohol markers, and I used the fine tip here and wrote 2019, and that worked really nicely on top of the not only wood but then the coloring that had been laid down with the marker. So since this is a snowman, I'm not going to color the whole thing, just the pieces that need to be colored. So again, I'm using the pink or the fine tip, and I'm just going to go over the top of it. You don't need to necessarily press all that hard. I would just say press with good even pressure, but don't press it so hard that you could potentially rip, in this case, the glassine or the tissue paper if you're using that, or transfer or tracing paper. I guess you wouldn't want to use transfer paper, but tissue paper. Alright. I thought this would be a fun little keepsake for my son for the Christmas this year. And I can take it all right off because it did a perfect job. You can see how cute that is. So you could do these, I mean, for your nephews, nieces, your grandchildren, your children. I mean, these would be just great little gifts. Maybe not necessarily the same thing, but another wooden ornament that you could pick up anywhere. You can personalize them this way. And I think that's a very neat thing. And is it professional? Is it perfect? No, because it's my printing, but at the same time, it's my printing. And I think that that can potentially add a lot of meaning to something like this. So I love the fact that you can use your own handwriting if you wish, or you can use tracing if you want, and you can get quite a nice look. Alright, I want to do one more thing, and that is stenciling. So let's give that a shot. So I have a piece of red cardstock here that I'm going to play around with. Just a piece from my stash. And I'm going to try this 6x6 Crafter's Workshop stencil. It has a lot of like distressed almost images on it. I like the modernness of it, and I think it could be fun for stenciling. Alright, so I don't know if this is going to melt because I haven't tried it, but I have seen other crafters who have not had any issues with their stencils melting. This is, you know, maybe a little different material in some stencils though, so, you know, you can never be sure until you try it. So we'll see what happens. I have a feeling though that the heat is pretty hot, but it's not a burning hot. I mean, it would be for your hands obviously, but for most materials I don't think you have to worry about it, you know, catching or making something on fire or anything like that. Don't take my word for it though, you must be careful. I don't want by any means somebody to think that I'm saying it's not going to cause a fire if you don't treat it right. I'm sure it would. Alright, so I'm going to try stenciling over these really, it's like a splatter, which I think would be a really fun and cool thing if you could stencil that in a foil and use them as accents on cards and things. So I'm using the fine tip again for this, and I'm outlining, and then I'm going to fill in. And it is not seeming to have any influence, good or bad, on my stencil material. It's not melting, it's not scorching. It's pretty much acting just like I would if I had a pen or something. I mean, I can't tell that there's any heat impact to it at all. And this is a thinner stencil material, so I kind of suspect that any stencil material is probably going to be okay. And for this particular stencil, this fine tip again is very useful because it really can get into the nooks and crannies of this fine stencil splatter mark. At least I feel that it does. Alright, let's see what it's done so far. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And this one I'm going to use, I think, the medium tip. So I'm starting to think that if you're going to do a variety of things, they were smart in giving you a variety of tips. I gotta untangle a little bit. It's getting all tangled up. This frame just looks kind of fun to me. And you could use it for a lot of different things. Probably way did that more than I had to. Wow. I love that one. That's really pretty. Love it. Alright, well then let's try the almost honeycomby looking thing. It's not honeycomb exactly, but it's got a neat pattern. Alright, let's see what that looks like. Ooh, cool. That's pretty darn cool. Alright, and then of course you could do more traditional things. I have some stencils with letters, or yeah, let me see if I grab something there. Alright, so here are some letters. So let's just see how that works. Let's see. Put that down. And maybe I'll use a little bit of washi on the top of this one. Secure both the foil and that down. And let's try the medium tip on this one first and see how it goes. Right, and there's that. So you can see, I think, all the versatility that you have with this, and there are many more materials you could probably use this on. I think just use your imagination. You could probably come up with all sorts of things. Now, I did watch another video where they tried to do it on a non-porous surface. It was like a porcelain dish, and it didn't work very well. So I guess that would be the main thing, is experiment a little bit, but probably something that's non-porous would not work nearly as well as something that's porous, such as paper, wood, material, that sort of thing. Alright guys, well I hope you've got some good information out of my testing here, and that you might be interested in giving this one a try. I will be coming back with another one. Look what I've got, guys. The glue quill. Yeah, they had it at Joann's, and so I picked that up. I've noticed Joann's is starting to carry a lot more We Are Memory Keepers products, and We Are Memory Keepers seem to be putting out a lot of new stuff lately, and it's almost like the foil quills has jump-started them in some way. It's probably just coincidence, but because you know what they plan is so far in advance of what you see out in the market. But you know, I've been using the Works all-in-one cutting tool. Love that. I've been playing with the foil quills, been enjoying all of that, and now the freestyle. And then this glue quill I'm very curious about. This will go in your machine and it writes with the glue, and then you use either glitter or you can use embossing powder over the top of that, and you'll get some very nice glitter images. So it gives you another option besides foil. You can do it with glitter now too. Pretty cool. Alright, well thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it, and I hope you've enjoyed this little demo like I said. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.